Sanctions are hurting Russia, but will they be enough to convince President Putin to change course in Ukraine? Western countries have slapped sanctions on Russia, first because it invaded and annexed Ukraine's Crimean peninsula, then because it continued to support militants in eastern Ukraine. On today's press review for Ukraine Today, we take a look at what international media is saying about the effectiveness of sanctions on Russia. Now, first, a piece from Reuters. They write, sanctions hurt Russia, but still far from changing minds. Combined with a falling price of oil, Western sanctions on Russia over its aggression in Ukraine are hurting the economy. But Mike Dolan for Reuters writes, Moscow may have the financial buffers to hold out for 2 years without a change in policy. Sanctions hurt Russia, but they're still far from changing minds. Any change in policy might also need the economic pain to worsen ahead of parliamentary elections late next year. Russian opinion polls show 70% think the government should continue its policies regardless of sanctions, even though many say they've been hurt by them. There are still more tools the West has at its disposal to hurt Russia economically, such as cutting it off from the international payment system SWIFT, but so far a so-called nuclear option like that has not been taken, and Russia will likely continue with its Ukraine policy. Even though Russia's economy is taking a hit, its military isn't going to be feeling the pinch. Next, we turn to the Associated Press. They write, Putin spending big on military modernization despite Russia's economic woes. Most Russian economic sectors face a 10% cut this year as Russia heads into recession. The military budget, meanwhile, rose by 33%. The current Russian mindset seems to demand this kind of increase. Putin has called NATO a top threat, and America is now dubbed an aggressor. The threat for Putin, writes AP, is whether the massive military buildup will stretch the nation's economic potential beyond the limit. Despite such challenges, the Kremlin made it clear that it will not cut corners on defense. So while sanctions on Russia are hurting the economy, both Reuters and AP reporters don't believe they are strong enough to convince Putin to change his policy in Ukraine. That's all from us here in Kyiv. Join us again tomorrow from the Ukraine Today newsroom.